Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Clean Plates podcast. We've been gone for a while. It is extraordinarily difficult to get all of these guys, all three of us, available at the same time, it seems. But we are back to finally answer some questions that you guys asked us seemingly a year ago. Don't even remember back when we asked you guys to answer these questions, and you probably thought, these guys are never going to answer my questions. Why did I even bother? But we're finally here today to try and do that, and hopefully it actually goes smoothly. Joining me today is Mally, Adam, and our special guest, Clean Strengths Loom note taker. And all right, let's just get right into the questions, boys, because we got a lot of them. And I think, the first question here, really, this is a good question for any of us to answer. I think anyone can take it here. What is Adam's reason for going to 74?
Yeah, I'll just run through it really quick because we have talked about it a lot, so I won't linger on this one. But I was diagnosed with a health condition, colitis. I decided I would take my health matter into my own hand, even though my doctor said I couldn't fix it on my own. I've made some lifestyle and diet adjustments, mostly shifting my diet to whole foods, which would have just made maintaining 83 really, really difficult. So I thought it was a good opportunity to put up a big fight in the 74s for a little bit while I sort this out and have some fun there. And everything seems to be working really well. My condition seems to be completely managed for the last couple of weeks, so I'm super happy about that. I'm happy everything worked out. And I'll hang out in 74 for a while, and then we'll go back to 83.
Adam's lying. He just saw the nasty big numbers I was putting up in 83, and he wanted to get out of there. The occasional 170 kilo deadlifts just kind of scared him, because who knows what I could put up? I don't.
Funny enough, I said I was going down to 74, and then all the 74. Blake's gone. Jeremy signed up as an 83. Logan decided not to compete. So as of right now, I don't know if any of these guys are doing some trickery, but it looks like it's me and Luke Homer, which will be fun. But I wish the other guys were going to show
Jeremy's
up.
not doing it either. I didn't realize Jeremy's going on too.
I think he is playing games, and I'm not falling for it. But we'll see what happens.
I can't wait till you come to 66. I hope your health is good though, but when you come to 66, shit, it'll be kind of fun.
I would have 50 GL at 66. I don't know if I would be able to stand up. I don't know how you do it because you're taller than I am.
If Adam makes it to 66, I'll get a CSF limo. Next question is, what made Nick Manders so out of pocket? I'm not. I'm a normal person. Next question. Overrated, underrated programming strategies, exercises, and concepts. What's your overrated or underrated programming strategy, Mally?
Overrated right now is probably the whole facade of trying to make uber specific programming for a new client. I think is kind of overrated. I think specific programming is good with people with a certain training age, certain experience. But I think for people who are starting out, I would probably even say maybe if you've listened to that first podcast about how to get good in powerlifting in stages, like if you're in that beginner or even that intermediate stage, I don't know if really specific programming is for you, but it's getting pretty popular right now. So I think that would go with that as an overrated one.
I'll go a little bit more general with mine. I'll say percentage-based programming is just overrated as a whole. I think there's this notion that percentage-based is more calculated, but I completely disagree. I think we need to allow for some auto-regulation to be in programming. And percentage-based work is going to be really tricky. Even if you're super dialed in with your externals, I think auto-regulation is needed. I don't think RP is a lazy system. And if you found good trends with percentage-based programming, like percentage increases week to week, stuff that shows to be effective, you can find patterns. There's no reason you still can't program RPE based with some load suggestions there. But I think overall as a whole, percentage-based training is overrated and not as calculated as people think. If anything, it's a little less calculated than the RPE system. What do you guys think?
I think RPE is the shit.
Yeah, I agree.
I think that like the vast majority of people too, they live two sort of chaotic lifestyles to like really be able to manage percentage well. Like I think if you can dedicate your entire life to powerlifting and situate everything around recovery and being very, very consistent with your variables and externals, then you know you can take a better guess at what percentages are going to look like. But with people that live regular quote unquote civilian lives, giving them a percent, not knowing exactly what their week is going to look like, and then life happens and then they have to go hit that percent, it's just a rough ask, right? If you're someone that's like a professional athlete or professional powerlifter, then I think that percentage definitely holds more water. But yeah, as soon as you have to take into account any kind of entropy that life throws at you, RPE just wins every time, right? Because it allows for that adjustability.
I think even with like seasoned professionals too, though, like RPE is going to carry a lot more value. I think it's few and far between for people who can actually thrive on percentage-based training, and it carries more risk. So that's my take. Nick, thoughts? Well, what's yours?
Did you guys both go overrated?
I said it's overrated. I said percentage.
No. As in like both of your things were overrated. All right. What's my overrated thing? Because I have mostly underrated things here, and we can loop back around to that because I think that this is a question that has like a lot of a lot of potential to dive into. Overrated, something that I've been thinking about recently, and this is just kind of silly. Lats. I think lats are just like one of the most grossly overrated muscle groups in powerlifting, and honestly, frankly, in just general fitness. Like lats are cool; they have a nice function. But like in terms of powerlifting, they don't do shit, right? Like they don't, like especially raw. They don't really help your bench, right? Maybe they work antagonistically the stabilizer, but you need very, very little out of that. They don't help with deadlifting and squatting at all, right? They're not torso stabilizers. They're just not. They don't have enough leverage off of the SI joint that they actually, connect to actually provide any kind of meaningful torso rigidity, blah, 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 blah. I think lats are stupidly overrated. And this isn't really our place to say, but I'd even say like physique-wise, I think most people look better with smaller lats.
I look kind of sick with my fucking short torso.
I think big lats look fucking stupid. But like, look, we're a performance-based coaching service. I don't think anyone cares that much about it, but I think that lats are stupidly overrated.
Yeah, I mean, I hear you. No, 100%. Like, obviously they're doing something, right? Like they play a necessary role, but I think they are far overcued across all three lifts, 100%. And most of the time, to get your lats to do what they need to do, it will happen naturally without thinking about it. They will play their role effectively without any major cueing 9.9 out of 10 times. So I would agree. Lats are overrated to some extent for sure, especially the cueing of lats across all three lifts.
Yeah. I don't know if I'm a fan of Nick's statement of saying lats are completely useless, but I'll definitely go with what Adam says about they're overly cued. I'll go with that. I'll agree with
I gotta pull my Nietzschean philosophy out and just say things with a hammer and just say out of pocket bullshit so then people think about it. I want to get into the underrated stuff though, because we did talk about this earlier. I know that Powerlifting Now actually put out a video on it. I came to the idea independently of them, however. So this is, don't copyright strike me for this. But I do think underrated and something that we're going to see more in the future is this idea of like periodized frequency. right? This idea that like you make incredibly quick, almost short-term neurological gains doing this extremely high frequency training that we've seen popularized through like Matt Venna, through Egg Shitko, and blah, 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 the 6 times a week SBD, where, yeah, when you're able to just do the comp lifts and practice them throughout an entire week, then you have this almost profound acute performance increase. But I think that runs very, very short. And it also is just generally unsustainable for the vast majority of people, and possibly even for these top level athletes when it comes to really pushing the needle forward in like that macro sense. So I think what's going to end up being, more popularized in the future and is currently a bit underrated just because we're still playing around with the principle, is periodizing it in a sense where closer to competition, we bump that frequency way up, right? But then in this quote unquote off season, we just pull the comp frequency down, and it has that more sort of like untested sort of conjugate style system of like training more general qualities, trying to build up this base, and then heavily peaking that with this higher frequency, as opposed to, what's typically been done for a peak is just lowering the volume, increasing the intensity. And I think now we're going to start looking at manipulating frequency in this periodized system to like really benefit from these acute neurological gains within the short term into a competition, and then pulling away from that for more sustainability in that quote unquote off season. Thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's something that comes with some caveats and some warnings, right? Like, so for example, just right off the bat, it can lead to some unpredictability if you're doing this for the first time. Probably not a great idea to try for the first time in an actual prep. Throw a bunch more frequency at you and see how you respond to it, right?
Why not?
You probably need to trial this and make sure it's effective for you. But yeah, I mean, it can be good. Like if we just look at the net benefits from some higher frequency training, we can space out some volume across the week a little bit better, maybe allowing us to accumulate more total work, right? We're accumulating a little bit more volume, which is going to yield more practice. You feel a little bit more fluent in the movement patterns, et cetera, stuff like that. But I like to be careful with this topic because a lot of the time when there's these kind of new and exciting training ideas and people are starting to talk about it more and more frequently, everyone's like, oh, this is going to work. This is going to work. Everyone's kind of jumping on the bandwagon without much consideration. Is like, it might actually not work for you. And it's something that needs to be trialed in your own programming, and it needs to be tested to know if it's effective or not. But yeah, I mean, if you look at what you can gain from it, there's a bunch of potential pros, but there's also a bunch of potential downsides to it. So it's something to be careful with. And I also think there's a certain demographic of lifter that is more likely to respond well to it. And then there's a demographic of lifters where I just don't think it'd even be worth trying, right? Like, is this something you would want to try with a super?
Yeah, I want Jesus on the 7 times a week SPD, Bulgarian, hit a 1RM every day. Look, if you want greatness, you got to take some gambles. You got to risk it.
Nick's
got to go all in.
This guy's going on one today. But yeah, I mean, I think there could be some benefit, especially across lighter lifters, female lifters, like a lot of the lighter female and male lifters, even in that kind of like mid-range weight class lifter. Sure, there could be, but I don't think it's like a cure for all. I don't think it's a net positive all the time and something we should be careful with. Matt, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I opened up by saying that was a pretty overrated thing that's going on right now, and I think Adam hit the nail with that one, saying we kind of got to be careful jumping on a bandwagon of something that's kind of like this, like uber specific. So I do agree with Nick in the sense that what's going to get popularized in the future is really working on like the conjugate, accessories, different movements that are going to get you stronger. The whole adding frequency thing is kind of, I don't know if that's also the answer. I don't know, maybe I'll get there, but I don't know if it's the answer to the underrated problem. For example, for myself, what we've done at the moment is we went pretty specific and we added frequency after Worlds. And training started to feel good. My body started to feel healthier, but not getting that much stronger, right? So, but what I've done for years is really use accessories and a lot of other movements that got me stronger at the end. So now we've kind of mixed it all together, you know, like bunched it up, but realized that the uber specificity is not for me, and I need that accessory stuff, but it's also keeping me healthier. So, you know, this is when the data and managing your workload comes into play. So I'm probably doing a lot more because I'm squatting more times a week than I ever have. I'm benching more than I've ever have. I'm deadlifting more than I ever have. And I'm also doing the accessories that were getting me stronger, but the volume is a lot lower in the specific movements. So that's kind of something my coach has figured out that's going to work. But what Adam was saying, I think, is very important, is jumping on a bandwagon of something of this sort can be pretty detrimental to your training. So you need to figure out what's going to really work for you.
Yeah, I think the one thing that I want to just clear up, just so we don't get confused, though, is like Nick was talking about, like, splitting it up, right? Like, this isn't a permanent thing. It's not something we're doing all the time. It's an application we want to do leading into a meet or something like that. So he wasn't saying for a prolonged period of time. And now that is something I like about it, right? Like, if we're running high frequency all the time, I mean, Matt Vina, I'm sure a lot of you guys saw the story. It's likely to eventually have some negative downsides, but yeah, I mean, if we're running it for a couple blocks leading into a meet or something, sure, it could potentially provide some value. So I hear what Nick's saying. I'm just saying, be cautious about it.
As soon as my leg heals, I'm hitting 7 times SBD a week, coming right back. I only need like a block for Nats at that rate.
And I want to actually touch on one more thing now that I'm thinking about this topic in specific, and kind of like this other. It's the same kind of game. We see a lot of coaches talking about fatigue right now, like in managing fatigue, in that you don't need to worry about managing fatigue because powerlifters can't train hard enough to accumulate any fatigue that will contribute to any sort of downside, and that we should be grouping everything super close together. I don't stop. Like, this is all over the internet right now. Every coach is making a post about, like, stop worrying about fatigue so much. You know, obviously we like group things close together. It's going to contribute to more gain. Not all the time, right? Some powerlifters can genuinely overwork themselves. Like, I don't know where this notion is that, like, oh, you could never train hard enough to have any negative downside from it. Of course you can, right? So it's like, there's so much nuance to these topics. There's so much that goes into it. Size of the lifter, durability. I think just the blanket statement of, you know, you should never have to worry about fatigue at all is absolutely ridiculous. Have you guys been seeing this as well?
I mean, of course.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on them?
I think with anything in the social media space, and like maybe this is a bit of a tangent, the algorithm loves extremes, right? And people love to discuss in these extreme terms as a result. I mean, I am guilty of this. I think that, with our clean strength videos, we do the same thing where it's, look, if you want to pull in an audience and make something in this short form that is catchy, you need to have that extreme pendulum shift. It is now important for the audience and to be, to have that media literacy and critical thinking capabilities to then watch these videos and go, okay, look, there's likely something to be found there and ascertained in the midpoint between these two extremes, right?
Do you think a lot of new lifters are picking up on that, though?
No, but that's what I'm saying, is that it's a skill that needs to happen, right? It's a skill that needs to happen in most of life, is understanding that the loudest voices that you're going to hear that are going to be elevated tend to be on those extreme ends. And it's typically, the reality is typically going to be found somewhere in the middle, right? Mm-hmm. So when you have these coaches going, fatigue is a demon, you need to exercise it at all costs, avoid it, blah, blah, blah. And then you have other coaches that are going, you can't even get fatigued. That's not real. It can't happen. It's a moral spook. The reality is probably somewhere in the middle, wherein you can absolutely get too fatigued there's a good chance that you probably aren't too fatigued, just knowing how a lot of you train, but it's a reality that could occur. It's somewhere in the middle, right? So that's, the reality of social media is that if you are going to use it as a learning tool, which I think it can be super valuable to do so, but you end up following the more influencer type coaches that need to play to the algorithm to some degree, there's a level of critical reading comprehension that needs to occur to actually ascertain anything of like genuine value that isn't just developed for the sake of shocking the algorithm. Like when I made the video, don't brace for deadlifting, I'm well aware of what I'm doing, right? Like I know that's not a blanket statement that works for everybody, but it gets the conversation going. Like I said earlier, it is that Nietzschean sort of philosophical view of doing philosophy with a hammer. You just throw the big question out there. You don't even necessarily need to truly believe in it, but as long as it gets the conversation going, you've done your job, right? It is then the audience's job to distill something from that, right? So, like I said, massive tangent, but that's how you have to approach these things.
No, and I'm happy I brought that up because I do think a lot of people do take things at face value. So, I mean, now you guys have some reasoning, understand that there's nuance to everything. Take things with a grain of salt. Talk to other people about it. Anyways, let's move on to the next.
All right. How do you guys decide which athletes should be with which coaches? Don't we just have like a magic 8-ball that we shake? And it just has our names on it. We just go from there, like a random number generator.
Honestly, most of the time when people reach out, fill out our inquiry form, like 9 out of 10 times, they're going to list the coach that they want to work with. So it makes it super easy. The 1 out of 10 times that it's not listed, we meet with them, see who they jive with the best, and then we just trial it. We'll do a 2-week trial and see how it goes, but pretty basic.
Yeah, we have onboarding meetings with all of our athletes. And usually from that, we can decide sort of who they jive with in terms of mainly personality. Like that is a big thing that works with coaching, is that we all have similar systems. We all have, similar ideas on training. There's a mosquito in my house at like November. That is insane. He should be dead. But we all have, these similar philosophies and everything on training. Like we have a similar, all of the sort of hard-tuned stuff, is pretty across the board here with CSF. So it largely does come down to like, who do you jive with personality-wise, right? Which is why we have these meetings. Because that's hard to distill off of a client intake form, unless, like Adam said, like they specifically throw in who they want to coach or what coach they want to work with, because, that is probably good info to have. But yeah, if they don't, we treat them like people. I think that's how we decide which coaches go with which athletes, is just you talk to them.
Yeah. And that 2-week trial period that we do, the free 2-week trial period and the free onboarding call, I'd like to say that because a lot of companies don't do that. But the reason we do that is to actually see if the personalities are going to jive, if the person is coachable, if that's someone we want to work with ourselves, right? Because we want to also make sure that we can deliver what we want to deliver. And it also allows the client to see if the coach is the right fit. But we can usually tell them that client onboarding meeting if it's going to work or not.
Yeah.
So if you're interested in seeing what coach you jive with, set up a meeting and we'll talk to you. All right, next question. How should an athlete prioritize their carbs before or during a heavy workout? By getting them in. I don't actually know if I understand this question. I'm going to be honest with you. You prioritize them by just eating them.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it depends on like what time you train, and again, it depends on the person, but general structure is like, I don't know, if you train in the afternoon, get some heavier carbs in early on, so something that digests a little bit slower, satiates you, etc. As you get closer to the workout, keep them more moderate on the GI, faster digesting, stuff like that, right? So if someone worked out in the afternoon, you can eat some oatmeal, potatoes, whatever you like in the morning. Fill yourself up, make sure you feel full, etc. As you approach the workout, I don't know, make sure they're a little bit quicker digesting, not as heavy, low in fiber, so you don't poop your pants while you're training, etc. And then we can look at carbs like during a workout as well. Like I know Nick is actually the person who put me onto intra-workout stuff. Like before I met Nick, I actually didn't consume anything during my workouts, carbohydrate-wise, etc. But it could be a game changer for some people, especially if you do feel like you're running out of energy or getting hungry, etc. So during a workout, keep them super simple, super fast digesting. Keep you pushing through your workout. I guess that would be the best way to answer that question. I'm not sure. What do you think, Mr. Nutrition Man, Mal?
Yeah, I mean, I try to tell my clients or myself as well if you're training later in the day, to try to get at least 50 to 60% of your carbs before you train. Now, if you're in a deep cut, I opt that. Like right now, this is going to probably make people go crazy, but right now I'm on 125 carbs in the day. I consume,
by the way. Only popcorn, by the way.
popcorn. I consume 90 before training, 10 during training, and I leave like 20 or 15 around there for the end of the day. But that's me trying to make sure my training is the most important. And I wake up and I eat my carbs and I go train. But it's just, I mean, if you're looking at like how to prioritize, why can't I say that word? How to prioritize them during your prioritize them during your day. What Adam said. If you got a limited amount of carbs, make sure you're eating a lot of your carbs before you train. And if you have a lot of carbs, make sure you space it out. I don't know. That's as simple. If you're a super eating 700 carbs, you don't need to eat 700 before you train, unless you're training at midnight after a whole day of work.
Yeah, I think what like Mally said, if you're cutting, you have to time them better. But I really like what Adam said in terms of like what kind of carbs you're getting in. That's underrated, I think, for a lot of people that like aren't super familiar with, simple versus complex carbs, which I hate the term, but like, look, if you're getting closer to training, I'd say like within that window of before, during, and immediately after training, you probably want, some simple sugars. Like I've been loving fruit juice lately, but like, you probably don't want to be eating like chickpeas at the gym, right? Probably like some Gatorade, some juice. I love dextrose for my intra workout. And like I've been loving fruit juice lately, before and after. Especially after like shuttle that nutrients back into the muscle via like glycogen and all that jazz. But I don't want to get too into it because that's nerd shit. All right. Next question. Wrist wraps versus no wrist wraps on bench. Adam, what are your opinion on benching? What do you like benching? You like the bench press movement?
Yeah, I'm a fan.
You use the wrist wrap on the bench?
No, I don't use the wrist wraps on the bench. I also don't have an issue with them. The only thing I do have an issue with is full reliance on the wrist wrap to support the joint. I think to keep this short and sweet is we need to learn how to stack effectively, right? Like making sure the bar is placed in the hand properly in a stable position where you're not going to snap your shit. And then once you figure that out, if adding the wrist wrap back on makes you feel better, the sensory feedback from it feels good, yields any more confidence, then throw the wrap on. But I don't think there should be a reliance solely on the wrist wrap to support the joint. You do need to learn how to stack the joint effectively. And then that's for raw lifting. As a raw lifter. Well, I guess, no, it carries into equipped as well. We still need to learn how to stack the joint effectively, but I think there is more of a dependence on a wrist wrap when we're going 100% over our raw bench max. You know what I mean?
I've never seen an equipped lifter not use wrist wraps, and I you know why. It's intuitive. I want to see it, though. I think it'd be so funny to see some dude, like, in a multiply suit, just rolling up with no wraps and just holding it. Mally, you have any hard, fast opinions on the wrist wrap on the bench press?
On the bench press, whatever allows you to stack the best. I don't know. I personally, my taking away the wrist wrap it was a game changer for my bench press. I was able to stack my elbows way better. It's starting to come back. There was a period there where I couldn't really figure it out for about 2 years, but it's starting to come back again. But yeah, I think wrist straps, I don't really love them for bench press or even the squat. I think both movements I've felt way, way better when I've started to realize that I don't need to have a straight wrist to punch someone the entire time.
Last point I do want to say is like everything, the wrist can be trained. Like, let's say you've been wearing a wrist wrap forever, and then you decide, hey, I want to experiment with no wrist wrap. It's going to be uncomfortable, 100%. It will get better through training it and learning how to position the wrist, etc. Whether this is on squat or bench, the body can adapt. So if you're thinking about going from a wrist wrap to no wrist wrap and it's uncomfortable, this is powerlifting. Be patient. Take your time. You can strengthen everything around the joint. It can feel better over time. So don't panic if it doesn't feel good at first.
I wanna quickly touch on a schizophrenic point that I've been noticing with wrist wraps with some of my like newer athletes, and it's the idea that if you're wearing very, very new wrist wraps and you're not an especially heavy bencher, I have found that sometimes they almost like elastically slingshot you out of position. I'm going to use visuals here, which is terrible for a podcast. So if you can watch right now, but if you can't, I'll try to explain it, vocally. But, we want some amount of wrist extension in the bench, right? And some people, when I find at least, have that wrist wrap on too high, too tight, whatever, what have you, when they go to then press off the chest, it almost flicks their wrist back into neutrality, and that flicks the bar subsequently down towards the hips. And it caused a consistent misgroove that with these athletes that I was coaching, we were able to very easily and quickly fix by just taking off the wrist wraps. I think if you are consistently misgrooving off the chest with your wraps, it could be something worth looking at. But at the same time, you'll often see, very successful lightweight, especially female benchers with wrist wraps, not have the same issue. So, your mileage may vary. All right, next question. Is Mally locked in still? No.
Good to go.
You're not gonna fight that? All right. Next question. Thoughts on athletes stunting growth by cutting down weight classes?
Like height?
Nah.
Is that it?
That's not the one.
Nah.
Thoughts on stunting? They're obviously talking about progress. I don't think it's something that everybody needs to do. I think people need to ask themselves why they're cutting weight classes. If it's for competitive purposes, yes. If it's something that Adam just went through and it just makes sense for body and for sustainability, 100% it's something you got to do. But if you're just doing it because to get, I don't know, it's hard to say because to me, like a lot of people, sorry?
You'll agree with this. I think we'll all agree with this. Newer lifters need to prioritize two things. Putting muscle onto their frame, right? If we get more muscle, our strength potential increases, and we should be training hard, so we need to prioritize recovery through sessions. Going through any form of weight cutting or losing weight will probably impact your ability to do these two things. So if you're early on in your lifting career, focus on putting muscle on. Focus on everything you can be to recovering between sessions, and food will only be a net benefit towards this. Would we agree on that?
Yeah, I hate to say that like the boomers are right. I always like to argue with them because a lot of the time they're not right, but whenever it comes down to like, you shouldn't be cutting down weight classes unless you're willing to win a national title or break a record. It's like, yeah, you're kind of right. You should probably just eat. Like, unless you have a very, very clear reason why you're cutting down a class, and it's not just, I think I could do X at Y, you should probably just fill out your frame, you know? And fill out your frame for like 10 years and then start thinking about it. The boomers were right. What a shame. What a terrible day to be alive.
I think something to consider as well, though, is like a lot of the time we'll see younger lifters be like, oh, but I could win the local or I could break this provincial record. It's like, what are your long-term goals in the sport? Like, is a provincial record going to be the highlight of your career? If yes, sure, go for it. But if you want to accomplish something greater and bigger in the sport, then sacrificing that provincial record by not going down a weight class for your overall long-term goals is probably something you probably want to focus on the long-term goals. Now, the only time I don't think it's a big deal is if you're overweight, if you're just a bigger lifter. I think improving cardiovascular health, overall just getting healthier, would probably be tremendous, or getting stronger and better as a power lifter. That's the one caveat to that. But everyone else, I think we can agree on that. Like, put muscle on, focus on recovering through sessions, and just train really hard.
Yeah, if your body fat percentage is at a certain level, you could probably just cut. Like,
yeah.
If your body fat percentage is like over like 6%, like you could probably just lose weight.
Fuck up, bro.
If your body fat percentage is like over like, if it's double digits, man, you gotta just stop eating. Just put down the 4. All right. Favorite accessory for squat? I don't know. Squatting.
Actually, super underrated. Hell yeah. Super underrated. All right. If it's not a squat or a variation, though, what's your favorite?
Hack squats, which are just squats, but like on a machine, like any kind of machine squat. Honestly, like, leg machines are pretty great. I'd say that, like, it's hard to find good upper body machines. Like, some gyms I go to just don't have a good press machine. I've never been to a gym that doesn't have a serviceable leg press or hack squat or some variation of a machine squat, right? Any kind of like big stable machine movement that you can just load like 1,000 pounds onto and get 6 reps in, you're probably going to get stronger, right? So, man, any kind of just, especially for these smaller lifters that like aren't going to occur like a ton of fatigue through comp squatting, you could probably get a lot of mass on your legs just loading up like a nice Cybex squat press, load 1,000 pounds on that and rev it for like 3/4 reps. It's probably good for you.
Mr. Sarcasm tonight, bro. This guy.
No, I'm being genuine because I used to do that and I felt great.
I'm gonna probably go with the most hated accessory for powerlifters, but honestly, any kind of split squat. Like, I'm big on unilateral work that you can push really aggressively. Now, there's tons of different ways you could do a split squat. If you want to yield a little bit more stability, then do a single leg press. But I'm a huge fan of just the general movement pattern that a split squat or a single leg press will yield. And I think it is an added benefit to be able to train each leg independently, 100%. Now, if I had to choose my favorite split squat variation, I think Mal will agree and disagree because we both have ran these put in by Mr. Timmy Pants, but reverse SSB Hatfield lunges are, dude, they just blow up the glutes and quads. Such a crazy movement. You can load them really aggressively. You have the hands to balance you. Wicked movement, but it's hard. It's so hard, and it's kind of annoying to set up.
Yeah, you could, if you use the wooden stick to stabilize, you might feel like it'll snap and you'll die, and it's even better.
I mean, I want both my hands on something to stabilize the movement, so I can really just focus on putting power into the floor personally. But I mean, yeah, you could just hold a stick if you want to add some.
No, I mean, I use both hands to hold the stick. No one can see my hands if you're listening, but yeah. No, I would agree with Adam here. I've always been on a split squat wave. changing how what my feet are doing in the split squat, changing how I'm moving in the split squat. There's so many things you can do with the split squat that to get creative and to like make it specific to a lifter. I think it's incredible.
Great. It can be like if we go to like something like a front foot elevated split squat as well, just to touch on it. Great rehab movement. It can solve a lot of issues. Like a lot of issues a front foot elevated split squat can help out with. So split squats are great, but again, Hatfield SSB reverse lunge, goated.
What if I elevate both feet?
You can drop. Hey, you could actually drop the back knee a little bit lower and ROM max that.
Nah. We're supposed to answer that.
Oh, my bad.
All right. Favorite male and female lifter. I'm going first. Favorite female lifter, Agatha Shitko. Call ends in 15 minutes. Anyways, favorite female lifter.
We need funds to increase the podcast.
I don't know who's my favorite male lifter. I think unironically Taylor Atwood at this point. That dude's just doing it for the love of the game now. Like he cemented his legacy as like maybe the best to ever do it in the IPF, and then he's just like he could move on. He could just like have all that shit talk that was placed on him by people like me, and just say whatever. I still won more world titles than you guys ever will, and move on. But instead, he's like, I'm going up a class. I'm gonna go up against one of the greatest phenoms in the sport ever, Joe Bornstein, and I'm just gonna try anyways. That shit's awesome. I think my boy Topset Taylor might be my favorite male lifter now. Like, he's gritty. He's kind of got it on him. I mean,
Mally, who you have?
Gustav.
Why?
Gustav's my favorite. I just love his story. I just love how he was losing, getting rocked. Not really getting rocked, but just losing all the time. And then he just had one of the greatest powerlifting years. Was it 2 years ago? I just think his story's sick, and he looks like Tintin. So I love looking at him. And he's built like a god. So I don't know. I just love Gustav. Female lifters, probably Megan Scallion.
Oh, bro.
I think her story's.
Isn't it Scanlon?
Scanlon, yeah. That was
my bad.
That's what I was going to say for my favorite female.
Yeah, I think she's cool. I think she stands for a lot of cool shit in the female world, and she's also a really impressive lifter, and she's a mom, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I would agree on that, especially she just competed at, what was it called? Avances?
Yeah.
Yeah, Avances Houston.
Best female lifter. Yeah, it is cool, like, seeing a mom continue to, like, pursue her athletic goals and stuff. It is really cool to see. Favorite male lifter? This depends where you're listening from. It's a little bit more niche to Canada, but Jason Burney. You guys know Jason Burney?
Isn't it just Byrne?
I think it's Burney.
Is it Bernie or Bernie? I thought it was just Jason Byrne.
I don't know. One Jason Byrne or Jason Burney. Dude, I helped him out at provincials. Most badass lifter I've ever seen. Dude, he showed up, no handler. Just, I went up to him. I was like, yo, you need some help loading plates today? And he's like, sure. I was like, what warm-ups do you want? He's like, give me 3 warm-ups. I'm like, what are you opening at? 330. I was like, how do you want
I was going to say, he's like a 360, 380 squat or some shit.
Yeah, he's huge. And I was like, how do you want me to space these out? And he's like, give me 2, 4, 295. I'll be good. I was like, okay. Dude, when it came time to deadlift, he was like, just on the side about to go out. No chalk on his hands. Bars loaded. Walk out. I'm like, do you want some chalk? And he looks at his hands. He goes, yeah, probably. And then chalks up last. He's cool. He's like, I think he's like 39 years old. He's a farmer. He's just farmer strong, dude. It's so cool to see. It was badass.
Yeah, I spotted and loaded for him at Nats during that 120 plus session. He had one of the nastiest squat grinders I've ever seen. I thought I was gonna die because he's tall too, and I'm short, and I was just under that bar and it was shaking because it was a Hansu loaded with nearly 400 keys. I thought it was over. All right, because we only have like 10 minutes left or something. Let's go through this. Goated supplement stack plus favorite pre-workout meal. I don't take supplements. I don't believe in that shit.
Let's just go. Let's go one supplement each. One supplement each.
Creatine. I love creatine.
All right, now yours.
As everyone listening to Nick's echo at the back, it's like an evil laugh. It's kind of scary. When he laughs, there's like a laugh in the background, and it's kind of creepy.
Mally, that's not your favorite supplement.
My bad. My favorite supplement, I think it's because I've been doing it for so long, probably just very simple zinc magnesium. It helps me sleep. I feel good in the morning. And then I take vitamin D3. Sorry, that's 2. But those are my 2 favorite that I've always had. What? Oh, yeah, that's 3.
Even 2.
Yeah, my bad. My zinc magnesium is together. I have a pill that has it together. So it's one.
It's probably dosed so poorly.
You have like 10 milligrams of magnesium and like 200 milligrams of zinc.
Oh, this got me sleeping like a baby.
1,000 milligrams of zinc with like 700 milligrams of magnesium, and I just sleep on the floor.
Your copper levels are just dead. You have no copper left. What's your favorite pre-workout meal? Aren't you on like some instant ramen bullshit still, or are you on like Nutella waffles?
Pre-workout meal right now. It's kind of long.
Just say it quickly. We have 10 minutes. We have like 3 minutes. We have 4 minutes.
I got assorted cheese slices with carbonara bread, which is low carb, high fiber. And then I got buns with honey, spinach with cottage cheese and egg whites, and Biscoff with oats. So I kind of get everything in there, and that's about 85
eating a
carbs.
smorgasbord of bullshit. Adam, what's your favorite meal?
Wait, I didn't say my supplement. This might be helpful for some people.
It's gonna be some Chinese herb bullshit.
I stopped consuming dairy, so in order to get my protein in, I'm on egg white protein powder. Great amino profile, the best. If you have some kind of dairy intolerance, get on that egg white protein powder. It's good. Very macro friendly, super bioavailable. Highly recommend. It's just really expensive, but it's worth it. Pre-workout meal. I eat the same meal all day long now on my new diet, so I'm not going to share it because I don't think it would be beneficial to any of you. I just have a soup. I have soup for every single meal.
Dude's eating pho. My favorite pre-workout meal: oatmeal and eggs. I eat oatmeal and eggs every day. And
fermented.
I have a massive supplement stack. I probably have like 25 to 30 supplements a day. I don't know. I lost count. My current latest addition is desiccated jellyfish. All right. It's not even a lie. What I'm fucking about. All right, last one. Got to be quick because I don't know how much time I have left. One rule the IPF needs to implement, change, or remove. Article 14.
We have 8 minutes. We got
right. Article 14 is the obvious one, so let's just pick something else. Mine is we need to just up and down is yours. I know that you always talk about up and down. I think it's a safety thing though, dude. How often do you spawn load?
Once a year.
Rookie numbers. when I spawn load the supers, if that bar starts to come down, I'm taking it. I'm scared out of my mind. I won't lie to you.
I don't think
when Jason Byrne starts to dip down a little bit, I'm taking that bar every time. And that's why that's in there. I hate it. I wish
someone goes down with. Imagine Jason Byrne goes down with 390 and then goes and brings it back up. That's so sick.
Yeah, it's sick, but it's also it makes me poop my pants. So unless you want me to poop my pants every session that I spot and load, it's gonna be a stinky platform, Allie. And then we're gonna have to have a new rule.
Spot and load female 63s or 57s.
I will get canceled for that for some reason. I can't do that. All right, Adam, what's your rule that you would change, implement, or remove?
I hate sink pressing, but it's not really a rule. Ban sumo. Ban it. Don't want to see it.
You pull sumo?
You
I pull
sumo.
I pull sumo. I benefit from it, but ban it. Ban it.
I think the entire bench press needs just like a full rework. I know that's not one rule. I know that goes against the question, but I think that like if you now take a look at the bench portion of the rule book, it is so bloated and so big, and there's so many different things that you have to look for. It's a hellscape. It needs a complete rework. Like there's a bunch of stuff in there. Why do we still need our heels down? Why can't the head move off the bench? Why is there a bunch of stuff in here that's just archaic? Like, okay, the heels have to be down to try to eliminate arching, but now we also want, elbow depth. So do we still need the heels down? Why can't the heel come up a little bit? I know that like head up is actually a thing for like equipped lifting because I guess it's easier to touch in a shirt if your head comes up. Just let them. They're already in a shirt. The whole point of the shirt is to make the lift easier. Why not just let them make it easier? It's silly. I think the entire bench press section needs a rework. And that isn't me saying get rid of bench press.
Hear me out. Flat back bench press only.
How?
And no sumo deadlift.
How do you put your back flat on bench press?
Just flatten out, baby. And then no
I have
sumo.
I have a big ass. How the hell I'm gonna do that? I've got an itty bitty little waist. I'm like a 32, and I got a big fat rump. I can't
Nick,
flatten
what about-
my back.
Nick, what about cornflake hair on the bench press?
What the fuck are you talking about?
When cornflakes haircut hanging off the bench press.
It's not even
What
a
about
rule.
that rule?
It's not in the rule. It's not a rule. It's not even a rule. It's bullshit. It was discriminatory.
It's a rule.
Look, I'll go to war with that. I'll fight to the death. I wanted a trial by combat that very session. I should have evoked it. Yeah, I think the entire bench needs a rework, in my opinion. I think that's the one thing I would look to change if they ever put me in charge. What do we have? Like 5 minutes? Will there ever be guests on the podcast?
Maybe. I don't know. Maybe.
We have one right now.
Yeah, Clean Strength Slim Taker. Yeah, we'll probably try and get some like really cool guests on the podcast. I want like Joe Rogan on this shit. I'm gonna somehow land I don't know, Elon Musk and ask him why he just tries to turn everything into a train when we already have trains, and he'll just look at me angry. Might get Mark Zuckerberg on here to talk about who his favorite powerlifters are. I don't know, let me pull some strings. Maybe we'll get the founder of Clean Grip on the podcast, but he's a very elusive man, so that's a hard ask. Anyways, in saying that is all of our questions for today, and we have to wrap things up because Google is going to send an assassin to my house in like 2 minutes. So we hope that all of your questions were answered to your liking, and maybe we'll do this again one day. That being said, I don't think anyone's going to trust us with sending questions if it takes us 6 weeks to respond, or however long it was. But anyways, thank you for tuning in to the, what did I call it? Clean Plates podcast. And we'll see you guys next time, whenever the fuck that is.